The Dateable podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. I'm your host, Yue Xu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host and producer, Julie Krafchick, as we explore this crazy dateable world. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating, where we dig into the whys of people's behavior, including your own. This week was particularly about that because we just had a sounding board event about schemas with Dr. Lev. She was on our last season and people really loved that episode. And if you didn't listen to that episode about schemas, it's all about how you're wired and your core beliefs, and which then drives your actions. So if you understand your schemas, then you understand why you do the things that you do.
Yep. Well, this was a big week, and not just because of our event with Dr. Lev, although that was a highlight of the week, but we also had, obviously, the inauguration was a big, big event, and we'll get to that. But even more importantly, Yue's birthday. Happy birthday again. We've said it a few times, but on air officially. How's it feel?
Well, thanks to Julie and Louise, I've been eating cupcakes every morning for breakfast. They were so sweet. They surprised me with sprinkles cupcakes, including cupcakes for doggies. And so both of my dogs got some really yummy treats. I just got to say, I feel pretty good. So when leading up to my 40th, this whole time I kept thinking I'm going to have this blowout party because for my 30th,
I know.
Yeah, because for my 30th, I had a huge bat mitzvah party in New York with like 200 people. So I thought, okay, for my 40th, I'm going to have an even bigger party, maybe in Vegas, and have this a quinceanera or something. I don't know. I wanted to do something really fun. And obviously that was not going to happen with COVID, but it was so nice to not do anything and still get all the attention and affections. So I really loved it.
So, you're actually still 39 because none of us age in COVID. That's the rule. So next year we are going to Vegas and we're making this party happen.
Even if it doesn't, Julie, I feel like I've come to peace with it. It's I feel really good about the way this whole day turned out. It was really chill. It was very
good.
It was very much about my closest friends and my family. So I felt like I did myself good. There was the right thing to do. And it was a lot of self-care. I took the day off from work. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the way I turned 40, but I'm also going to turn 41 next year. So, that big 41 birthday.
Yep. Well, I loved that your boyfriend took you on a beach picnic. That looked amazing. Oh,
so sweet. He did.
Well, it's amazing.
He gets so nervous when I talk about him, but I have to give him so much praise.
Hey, this is a nice comment.
This is a very nice thing that he did. Because if you think about it, in COVID, when you're in a relationship, it's actually a lot of pressure on your partner because you don't, especially for birthdays and celebrations, because all of the responsibilities on your partner. Before, you could have your friends take you out, you can divvy up your days. Now your whole day is spent with your partner and you have to think of something to do. So my boyfriend was so sweet. He got me flowers. He got me my favorite meal for lunch, which is sushi. I love sushi. And then he took me on this beach picnic at Santa Monica. And it was all set up for us. And we just watched the sunset. It was just a beautiful scenery. And it was just the two of us. We didn't bring our dogs. And then for dinner, he got us really great French food. It was 5-course meal, but at our home. So it just felt really homey, but also just amazing. Delicious. But on top of it all, we had our Dateable event. So we rushed back from the beach, and then we had this great event with our sounding board members. There were 30 some people on, and people saying happy birthday to me, which was awesome because I've never had a birthday where I've spent it with people I've never met in person, which is great, right?
I know. It was funny at the day you were like, I'm actually really excited about the event tonight. We're like, I feel bad this is falling on your birthday. And you're like, no, it's totally cool.
No, it was actually really fun because we learned about ourselves. I met new people. I learned a little something about myself too. So that was great. And then the cupcakes came from Julie and Louise. And I was like, how can this day get any better? I really thought it was the most perfect day until Mojo threw up. That's a different story. But anyway.
Well, we do have another surprise coming for you still. It did not arrive on the 40, surprise. But look out for it. And another surprise is coming. But maybe when you're back in SF this week, if it's not torrential rain pour the entire week, maybe we can do a little birthday catch up.
Thank you to all of you. And thank you, Julie. Thank you, Louise. I just feel extremely spoiled. And I'm so grateful for the way my 40th turned out. So I feel good about it. I'm still alive. I'm not in a walker. I got my Botox done. I'm good. It's the best way to spend my 40.
I love it. Everyone in this group chat that UA and I are on, everyone's like, damn UA, you look so damn good for 40. Like if we could look half as good at 40, we'll be in good shape. So you ushered us in nicely for that.
Yeah. And I was like, do you want a code for Botox? Because it is life changing.
You're like, do you want a referral? Because that will help you out. Well, we're still going to Vegas. 41.
Yeah. Well, let me finish with cupcakes first. I still have leftover birthday cake my parents got me, and then leftover sprinkles cupcakes. So let me finish all that first, and then we'll celebrate the next birthday.
Don't worry, Vegas isn't going to be for a while, but it's going to. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We also had the inauguration this week, which, oh my God, just brought tears of joy. And can we just talk about first? I mean, there's a couple things to talk about, but first of all, the attire and fashion of that event, I was like, damn, people are really stepping it up right now. And I loved the purple. There was symbolism behind the reason why everyone was wearing purple was basically bridging the blue and the red together. So I thought that was really nice.
Oh, I never knew that. I thought they just thought they were royalty.
Well, that too.
Okay,
but
that makes a lot more sense.
But I think we just talk about Kamala's husband, Doug, who is our official second man, which I love. This is monumental to begin with. I was talking to a coworker about this, and she was like, I had tears of joy, and I was looking at my two daughters, and I'm like, do you understand how big of a deal this is? And they didn't understand at all. And she was like, why can't they understand? What is going on? And then she's like, maybe it's because they just think this is normal.
Right.
They don't get that, this isn't a normal thing, that women could just do this. And she's like, in that, it's actually kind of amazing that they didn't even think it was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a really great thing, because we're always so afraid of bringing up our kids in this sort of environment. But then you realize there's some really positive sides. They're seeing things being done in a way that's never been done in history. And they think it's the norm. For us, it's a new norm. For them, it's a norm all the way.
Exactly. And I love too, all the memes going around about basically Bernie memes, but also the Bernie memes are off the chart. But there's also one for all of our SF listeners of just him plopped in Dolores Park within one of those COVID circles that really makes me crack up. But I'm talking about the memes about Kamala's husband, Doug, and just how you need to get yourself a Doug. Just the way he looks at her, the way he not that he shouldn't let her lead. This is her day, but he basically was there to support her fully. And that is what we want in a partnership. That's incredible. And I want to find myself a Doug. I'm on board with that.
I would love to learn more about their love story, because he comes from, this is his second marriage, right?
Mm-hmm. He has kids.
So, yeah. I would love to know how they met. How did they find love with each other, and how I'm sure they've had numerous conversations about what happens now, because their relationship is about to change, and how do you grow with your partner in such a huge role that she's stepping into. So it's pretty exciting. Maybe we'll get them on the podcast for season 12.
So Kamala, if you're listening, hit us up. That would be a killer couple to get. If we could get them, then life made. That would be amazing.
We have one spot left, Kamala. So if you like to join, be a guest on season 12 of the Dateable podcast, which has once been number 4 on the charts.
Yep. We were featured with you on New and Noteworthy. Don't you remember? I know she's listening right now, obviously. But
it was meant to be, because she has nothing else better to do.
Yeah. We'll send her a screenshot. Don't worry. We screenshotted that shit. You might not have, but we did. Also, it wasn't even her podcast. It was a podcast about her, but whatever.
It doesn't matter. She knows all about it.
Doesn't matter. It's the point. It's the point that we're taking. But anyways, it was I think also just want to call out too, this other thing that made my heart melt was that like on day one, Joe Biden signed like executive orders to have like equality for like LGBTQ plus folks in healthcare and just all sorts of things. And like I saw like a few friends of mine that are in that community just post like how overwhelmed with joy they were. And I'm like, that just made me so happy to see that they saw a president that like day one was like, this is a priority to make sure that people like me are as equals.
You got to put yourself in Joe Biden's shoes. This guy has been in politics since he was in his 20s. He's been wanting to be president since his 20s. And now he's approaching 80 and he finally gets to be president. He probably has a long ass list of things that he wants to do as president. So this guy is probably the most anxious man in America right now. You know, can you imagine if you've been waiting for almost 60 years to do shit? Probably just so anxious to get started. You're like, forget all the celebration. Let me get in office and get started on this crap.
I think he had like 30 orders or something on day one signed. Something like that. But anyways, I also got Kamala ice cream. That was my other big splurge.
What's Kamala ice cream?
There was this, that sounded weird the way I said it, but there was, Smitten ice cream in San Francisco. It's like this, for anyone that doesn't live in San Francisco, they like hand churn out ice cream. It's amazing. They made an MVP flavor, Madam Vice President, and Kamala's like face is on the container. So I got it in celebratory and I saved the container.
What's in it?
It was like pecan praline. It was really good, actually.
Yum. Okay.
It was good. Their ice cream is bomb for anyone that is a local, but yeah, it was good.
Oh, I'm going to have to get some.
Yeah, it might still be back. Who knows? It might have been limited, but you can try. You might as well shoot your shot.
Are you going to save the container?
Yeah, I did. I already saved I didn't save like the whole container because that'd be gnarly, but I saved the top.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. The whole container would be kind of gross.
Her face is like all melting.
Exactly. Like the ice cream in it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that would not be good. Cool. No. All right. So what is this episode about? I know everyone's like, you guys just shooting the shit here.
This is basically, we have a couple more bonus episodes and then we're going to get into season 12. I first of all cannot believe we're on season 12. It's amazing. But we have so many good things in store for you all. And we're so excited to get back into our regular seasons.
So what is this episode about? We've thought we each bring you our top 3 episodes from last season that changed the way we view love and relationships. We don't know our top 3 yet. It'll be a surprise for each other, but we're going to start on our top 3. Now, before we do that, we do have a message from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So for the new year, what are some things you'd like to change your life to find more happiness? What do you think is preventing you from achieving your goals? Well, the simple answer really is prioritizing your mental health. We at Dateable are huge fans of therapy, and BetterHelp can match you with your own licensed therapist and connect you in a safe and private online environment. I was able to start communicating with my therapist in less than 48 hours. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, and it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. Their licensed professionals specialize in everything from stress and New Year's resolutions, anxiety, presidential inaugurations. So for the new year, we wish for all of you to live a happier, healthier life. And that's why as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/dateable. Join over 1 million people who are taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DATEABLE. We're going to roll right into each of us are going to choose top 3 episodes from this past season that changed the way we view love and relationships. I'll start with mine.
Yes.
Third one, it would be the season opener, Trust in Your Timing with Christina Bradley. She wrote a book called Which Way to Happiness. And it really was about getting to a crossroads in your life. Like, let's say when you turn 25 or 30 or 40, these are major milestones where you question if you are where you're supposed to be. And that conversation was about liberating yourself from that thought, because honestly, you're never really where you thought you would be. Otherwise, you'd be a psychic. So trusting in your timing and trusting in the fact that wherever you are today is exactly where you're supposed to be, but your future is in your hands and you have full control of how you live your life because you're making daily decisions that are driving how your life pans out. So instead of having the social constructs tell you how to live your life, you are in control of how you drive your life.
And I mean, I also picked that one. So we knew that we were going to have overlap on some of them. And I was wondering if that was going to be one of them. I also find it interesting you picked that one given we talk so much about milestone birthdays and you just had one. How do you think like listening to that episode actually played into your own like relationship and dating life?
You know, we were sitting at the beach on my 40th, my boyfriend and I, and we were looking around and he was like, I never thought this would be my life at 40 because he's also 40. And I was like, same here. And then we were kind of talking about like, how did you think your life would be at 40? And we never really thought, oh my gosh, I think at 40, I picture myself sitting in a house with like 5 kids or whatever. I just didn't picture that, but I just assumed I would be where everybody else is. I just assumed that my life would look exactly like my neighbor who's 40. And it's not true. And it's really great to know that we've carved out a life for ourselves that it's a little bit spontaneous and it's a little bit unpredictable, but it's nice because we are not trying to fit ourselves in a box. So I think that episode really fed into my whole mindset of turning 40. I did not freak out. I did not think I needed this, and that for 40 to go well. It was very peaceful for me to think, well, however I turn 40 is exactly how I'm supposed to turn 40.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a big trend in general. Like, I think other older generations, there was kind of like one defined path that you took. So you kind of visioned yourself like, I agree. I would never like thought about like, oh, I'd have like a house full of children, but I just kind of assume like that would just happen. Yeah,
exactly.
But I think what's happening now is like everyone is carving their own lives and like people at different ages can have totally different lives and they mesh and they don't mesh and like it doesn't matter. It's kind of like everyone is on their own path.
Yeah. And that's so wonderful to know that you are the one creating your life. That is just it's just so empowering to feel that. Okay.
So I also had that one on my list. So I'll play off of it, but I actually cheated a little and I had that one comboed with another one. She always
does this, guys. So Julie is known for doing this. I'll be like, pick top 5. And she's like, well, I have 7, but I'm going to combine 3 of them into one. I'm like,
it's the loophole. It's the loophole. But I told you this morning, I was like, I woke up at 3 a.m. and I had a revelation.
Yes, I need to hear this.
So I think it's a combination of the fact that like UA had this idea for this episode. So last night she's like, can you pick 3 episodes? So I started thinking about that. Then we obviously had the schemas workshop this week. And then I've also been really into numerology. I don't know if you've ever looked at that.
No.
So maybe we should have a numerology expert next season. But they basically look at like your birth chart. And I'm also really into astrology lately, which I know people have mixed opinions.
Where are your crystals? Like what's next?
Well, that is actually ironic because the one I'm going to pick is Nikki Novo. So that does make... So while we're talking about crystals and intuition, I might as well reveal the episode. Yeah. But it was basically season 11, episode 14, What's Holding You Back with Nikki Novo. And Nikki Novo is like an intuitive dating coach and she does readings. And she did readings for UA and I. And we talked about our readings, but also more like broadly, like what is holding people back when it comes to finding love and dating. And even when like we talked about me being more recently single, because I think I talked to her right after I ended things with my ex, and then UA like in a relationship relationship, but like, how do you get like taking the next steps in a relationship, all of that. So we kind of covered it from all different angles. That episode for me, Elise brought up was this timing thing again. And that's why I brought them together. That's why I cheated. And she kind of like iterated too, like having trust in your timing. Like you're not behind, you're just on time. Like you're the type of person that needs to observe. You need to see how it's done and then you'll do it. And she's like, you're going to have all the things. You just need to like get there on the right time for you. So I think that one was really important for me. And it's this whole just trusting that it's going to work out and not having these deadlines to it, and also not like clinging with fear to each last person. People can have mixed opinions if they believe in readings and all that, but I think there is something nice about like knowing like, okay, like she told me like this birth year, I'm going to find my person. And like, I might have this period that I feel like almost like down about things. And like, I'm almost like giving up because of just like that it's been a while and I've gone through the dating ring around for a while. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean.
Sure, ring around.
The carousel. I don't know. Ring around did not sound right as I was saying it.
Coin that phrase.
We'll just go with it. We'll go with it. And she basically was like, don't lose hope. And I think like that is the problem so much with dating is that like, and I'm going to kind of like give a preview into an episode this season, but we have Janice, our moderator. We talked about dating trauma and it was an amazing episode. So can't wait for that one. It's like when things go wrong in your dating life over and over again, it's hard to have that faith and it's hard to like preserve that you are on the right path and like things will work out when they're meant to work out. And I think just hearing that from her, like in that, you know, it's normal to feel that way. Like I thought that was really assuring. And I think, like I was kind of getting to my revelation, but I think like with that plus like all these workshops, I think like in numerology, that's where I was going with
like,
this.
where's this
Numerology basically.
Put it together, Julie. Put it together.
This is a revelation. It's going to be big. So basically numerology, there's like your life number, like that's basically like the path that you're taking. And I was a number 1, which means that you have a lot of leadership capabilities. You're very driven. You like get things done. You have like a bright future, all this stuff. But a lot of it is that you kind of like sometimes go at things alone and like don't necessarily like let people in as much. And they're like, that's kind of the area that you need to work on. And I was thinking about it in this like word of trust. And I think that is something that actually like I've gotten better about like trusting my own intuition, but I think I need to like work on trusting others and kind of like letting them into my life and not like feeling that they're going to like fail me. And I think like with this combination of like the schemas workshop, and we'll get into that because that's definitely one of my other top episodes. Maybe I'll just roll that in while I'm having the revelation and they keep going. But like with the schemas episode, how you're wired for relationships, I was a perfectionist. And one of the things with perfectionist is that you like to control things. And sometimes with partnerships, you're out of control because you are relying on someone else. And one of the other pieces is like abandonment schema and having this fear that like people won't follow through on actions. And one of the things that Abby talked about in the workshop is how do you turn those schemas into values for your relationship? And like, what do you do when the schemas come up? And like often, like if I feel like someone's pulling away, I'll pull away. But that isn't really the relationship I want. Like I want someone that's going to be consistent. I want someone that's going to be there and all that. So I think where I'm going with this is that I'm learning to just put my foot forward and to like relinquish some of that control and to like understand that maybe like trust is a difficult part for me. So it's not just trusting your timing, but it's just trusting others a bit more and letting those people like giving people a chance, you know, like opposed to just like feeling like I need to control everything.
Yeah. And I think it's just controlling your risk for disappointment, risk for resentment, because if we're constantly expecting people to fail us, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will absolutely happen. But if you give them opportunities you step forward, hoping that they will step forward. That's a chance to learn about them. And Abby talks about this too.
Mm-hmm.
Always give the other person a chance to give you information. That's what we're doing in dating. We're collecting information. It's not about judgment. So if you step forward and they step forward, that's collecting information. My partner will meet me. But if they step backwards, you're like, hey, that's not the partner I want to be with because it doesn't align with my values.
Right. And another teaser alert, we have this amazing episode coming up with Connor Beaton, and we kind of asked him a question about emotion. It's all about emotional availability. And I asked him a question about like, is this a sign someone's not emotionally available? And he totally turned it around on me. And I was like, this is amazing that, you know, like you kind of like, we talk about this. It's like, you can't just ask the why of others. You got to ask the why of yourself. And his whole point like is you can say like, hey, I'm looking for a relationship that's X, Y, and Z. And if someone can't meet you there, like better to find that out earlier and to like move on. But if you don't like say anything, like then you're just making assumptions and you're not really giving someone even a chance to say that they can or can't meet you.
We had a really good question in our workshop. Someone asked, is it too aggressive to ask these questions on earlier dates?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. Your values are what you stand by on a daily basis. If you're afraid to ask if someone's aligned with your own values, then you're afraid to get into a relationship. That's really the crux of it. It's like you're not ready for a relationship. The only way we can carve out a relationship that we want is to ask for what we want. Because no relationship starts out of the box like exactly how you want it. There's nobody out there like that. There is no perfect fit for you. You have to create the perfect fit. And that's what we really learned from these episodes is that everything is in your control. We got to stop thinking about, oh, is this going to scare someone off?
Yes.
Are they going to like me less if I ask this? No, it's your fucking life.
Right. And if you can't have that relationship from day one, it's going to be a lot harder to have that like 3 months, 4 months in. Like, I think I've been under this mindset, like, I don't want to do anything too early. Right, I don't want to like
we've
rock
all
the
been
boat.
there.
I just want to be easygoing. Yeah, I think we've all been there. And I think people still have those thoughts. But I'm kind of like now in this world, like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. And it's, again, it's all how you say things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Right. So I think like the long-winded revelation is I think this trust word is like a big one that I've learned, and it's trusting your timing, trusting your intuition, but also trusting others, because we talk about this too. It's like we can do all the self-work, and I think everyone should be doing the self-work. But if you're also not engaging other people, then you're not you're not setting yourself up to learn about relationships, because the reality is a relationship is with another human being.
Yep, absolutely. Did you just reveal your top three, like all of them into one?
No. So 2 are combined.
Oh, fuck. That's right.
I still have a backup one, but I think like just to round out the schemas piece, I think the whole schemas conversation, I don't know, did you have schemas on your list, or was this like you knew I was going to pick it? I knew you were going to pick it,
so I crossed it off, but it's definitely, yes. It's a revolutionary episode.
If you have not listened to Schema's the one, How You're Wired for Relationships, was our top episode of last season. All these like psychology ones. And this one we kind of look at as like, you know, if you took personality types, attachment theory, this is like the ultimate of getting to know yourself. And it's all about the core beliefs you have, and that you don't necessarily have to change the core beliefs, but you can change your behaviors. At least for me, how I'm going to date differently is like looking at this perfectionism schema as a need to control, and like, how do I relinquish that control a bit and let others, you know, meet me and step up. And, you know, it doesn't have to be just with relationship. Like, it can be people I'm dating, but I can also test this with you, Yue. Like, you know, like different people in my life that I can just start to like place more faith in other people, opposed to just feeling like I have to do everything myself.
Yes. Good. Awesome. Then you can create less work for yourself, or less stress for yourself. Okay, then I'll go to my second one. Season 11, episode 5, Sex Lists in the City with Kat Harris from in a podcast called The Refined Collective. I really enjoyed this episode because she is a 30-some-year-old woman in New York City living it up, and she chooses to abstain from sex. She's a Christian woman, but she came to these choices herself. She didn't grow up in a Christian household. She found Christianity herself, and she didn't grow up in a household that condemned sex. And I think for her, she was like, you know what? I think intimacy is going to be a huge piece for me that I value and that I want to keep sacred. So I am going to wait till marriage for sex. So that conversation really helped me realize, one, I've been taking sex for granted. So how do I treat each time that I have sex as a new experience, and how do I appreciate it more with every little moment that happens during sex? Sometimes we're just like, oh, okay, this is me talking, by the way. I go, if I get on top, I'm going to come. Like, that's just going to happen because it's happened in the past and it's just the way it's always going to be. But what if I treat each new experience as, I actually don't know if I can orgasm in this position. Let's see. Like, let's be open to other ways of finding pleasure during sex instead of the ways that I've known that I can find pleasure during sex. I also love her thoughts about intimacy because we don't often tie intimacy with sex. And sometimes I've heard a lot of my friends say this, I can't just turn on a button and say I'm ready for sex, or I can't just turn on and say I'm horny. It doesn't happen like that because there needs to be some level of intimacy. So in my own relationship, I've thought about how do I create more intimacy and deepening that intimacy so that when we do have sex, it becomes a deeper, more meaningful experience as opposed to just going through the actions because I'm trying to hit my quota of like having sex 3 times a week.
I love that you picked that one too, because like you're not a virgin,
no, I'm not.
You know, like I think that what I love about it, sorry to blow your cover, but I feel like, you know, like sometimes people do skim over episodes that they're like, this isn't applicable, but I really believe that you can learn and take away something from everyone's experience, even if the experience isn't directly to you. And I think I had a similar reaction that you did, is like, it made me think about sex in a different way and like the intimacy of sex, not just the act of sex. So it's like, what's your relationship with sex? I think that was a question that was posed in that episode, and it's a good one. And like sometimes you're right, we take it for granted, we don't think about all that stuff. So having that fresh perspective really did help with that.
Yeah, even if you've had sex with 8 million people, the next person you have sex with, or the next time you have sex, you can still create a different experience. So it doesn't feel so familiar. And so you can appreciate and be grateful for each moment.
Yeah.
So I really like that episode. And what's your last one?
Should we take a quick break before we get into the last ones?
Let's do it. Here's a special message from our sponsor, Gobble. Do you remember at the beginning of the pandemic when everyone was like super pumped about cooking and sharing their food photos, right? Remember that? And like a million months later, no one's posting their food photos anymore because we're all so freaking sick of cooking. I know, at least for me, I just need variety in my meals, and I can't accomplish that by just cooking on my own. That is why Gobble is the perfect meal delivery solution, because you can whip up delicious and healthy meals in 15 minutes or less. Gobble enlists an army of sous chefs that do the time-consuming work for you. And we just tried the miso glazed salmon, and it was divine. Everything comes with pre-portioned fresh ingredients such as already chopped veggies, spice blends, and perfectly simmered sauces. Just pick meals from Gobble's extensive menu each week, including a variety of flavors, classic dishes, global recipes, and delicious vegetarian options, plus a line of lean and clean recipes featuring low-calorie and low-carb options. And by the way, they also have breakfast and desserts. Yeah, that's right. See what a difference Gobble will make for your household. They're offering our listeners this fantastic limited time deal for 6 meals for just $36, plus free shipping. That's dinner for 2 people for 3 nights, all for just $36. An offer only available through gobble.com/dateable. Get this special offer now by going to gobble.com/DATEABLE for 6 meals, $36. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Causemetics. We all know that when it comes to beauty products, there are just so many choices, but we're going to make the choice simple for you. Try Thrive Cosmetics, a line of high-performance, award-winning products that are both vegan and cruelty-free. Plus, for every product you buy, they donate to help a woman thrive. Their clinically proven formulas highlight your best features and improve your skin over time. All Thrive products are formulated without parabens, sulfates, and phthalates. Those of you who've been listening to us for a while know that we are obsessed with the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara, a best-selling product that's sold every 5 seconds. I've totally given up on lash extensions since using this mascara. This flake-free, smudge-free, and clump-free mascara has more than 11,000 5-star reviews and won Glamour's Best Clean Beauty Products of 2020 award for the best mascara. Start thriving and help women in need today by going to thrivecosmetics.com/dateable for 15% off your first purchase. That's Thrive, CAUSE medics.com/DATEABLE for 15% off your first purchase. Thrivecosmetics.com/dateable.
Okay, we'll get back into it now. My last one I had was, it was season 11, episode 15, Is Too Fast a Bad Thing?
Oh, that one.
With Kethin, yes. And the reason I pulled this one out is because we talked a lot. I mean, just to give like a quick recap, Kethin, first of all, tells an amazing story, so I can't even like revel his storytelling skills right this. So if you want to hear the whole thing, you got to listen yourself. But he basically talks about meeting someone via Clubhouse, which is a new app. And during the pandemic, someone that lived across the country, that they basically had like one of those kind of virtual instant connections where they talked all the time for a month and really like moved quickly into a relationship and before actually even meeting. And I think honestly that is a reality that's happening this day and age with COVID. So I feel like if you were to say that like years ago about like falling for someone before actually meeting, we'd be like, what the fuck? Like, are you crazy? But now that's like it's totally standard and part of the course. So I think he talked about, and ultimately this didn't end up working out. He did make the trip to see her, and ultimately he felt like they moved too fast. And that was like the question was like that we posed to in the episode is like, is it a bad thing to move too fast? Because on one hand, like he said that he felt like they met friends too early, they met family too early, like things kind of moved at more turbo relationship speed, and maybe their connection wasn't there yet. So if they had moved slower, would it have worked out? But then on the flip side, it's kind of like this fail fast mentality that like, you are getting into relationships. One of the challenges before COVID was like people were so like half in, half out, like seeing someone once a week or once every 2 weeks and barely talking. It just never gets things off the ground. So anyways, the reason I chose this one for myself is I've been doing a lot more virtual dating lately and like having some of these connections. Like I was back in Boston, so I like couldn't actually meet people. And I've been wondering this too, because like I have talked to people a lot more before meeting them. And I think ultimately, I do think it's a good thing that we're doing this right now. And I think like it's bringing like excitement back to dating. It's making it feel like you're, like you can build a connection with someone a bit. I think though there is like a double-edged sword to this one, and that's why like I did bring it up as one that's changed my perspective, because I guess the piece that I'll say that has changed my perspective is I'd rather kind of go all in, and this kind of ties to what I was saying earlier, is that like I'd rather bring my full self and have it not work out than not bring my full self, and realize that earlier that's just not a compatible match. But that being said, like I think the one caveat is that like we do still need to take inventory that we might not fully know this person and not get totally ahead of ourselves, or if like something comes up in their life that they're not comfortable sharing or whatever that might be. I think it's like okay to say like, hey, like we still don't know each other that well yet, like I need to like pause it a little on this whatever front it is. And I think as the receiving end on that, like being like realistic, like okay, yeah, I've only been talking to this person for a week or two, or I don't know this person that well, so I don't I guess the long-winded point I'm trying to make is I think it's a good thing that we are moving fast, but I do think we need to be realistic on expectations and not take it personally and not be afraid to communicate.
And then I guess it's all relative, right? What's fast, what's slow, and don't set these timelines for yourself and say, like, measure yourself against this imaginary timeline. It's all about going with your intuition. It goes back to what Nikki Novo said. It's like, put your hand on your heart and say, does this feel right? Does this feel good in my body right now? And then move forward if it feels good. I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. It's going too fast. It's going too slow. It's not where it's supposed to be. We keep creating so much anxiety and drama around the unknown that we forget to really marinate in the present and enjoy your company with this person.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that episode as well. I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think what Nikki said, I've been trying to do this is like feel my body more. I think that is a definite thing.
You feel your body more.
Yeah. And I feel like I use my head so much and don't always listen to my body. And I'm really trying in 2021 to like pay attention to like body cues a bit more. Yeah. Like I think it's expectations. It's not that it's moving too fast. Like I think it's a good thing if someone wants to like contact you daily and you want to hear from them too. Like obviously if you don't want to hear from them, that's a different story. But if both parties want to hear from each other, that's not a bad thing. But you also can't be like, oh my God, I found the one necessarily. Right. Like that might be like too much expectation. So it's like, how do you balance going all in, but not like totally having like fantasy land expectations either? Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so then my last pick is, no surprise here, our season finale with Mei Lee. Can you have it all? Yeah, I mean,
I knew you were going to pick that one.
Exactly.
I didn't pick it because I knew you would.
It'd be weird if I didn't pick it at this point. It's our season finale with the world-renowned journalist Mei Lee. She is in her 50s, single, without kids, and talks about how she has no regrets in life. And can you really have it all? And her answer is, you can have it all, maybe just not all at the same time. You find alignment in your life at different times, at different phases, and then you just have to appreciate when those things happen for you. So I think what my main takeaway from this was, we always have this fear of like, what if I get to an age of like, let's say 50s and 60s, and I'm not married and I don't have kids, even though those may not be the things I want right now, will I regret it later in life? And talking to May, she's kind of like, listen, I'm happy. I've never been married. I don't have kids, but companionship for me now is an added bonus. It's a cherry on top. It's no longer a necessity. It's not like I have to have companionship in my life. So even after we recorded this episode, she ended up finding a man, and she is now in an exclusive relationship with this wonderful man, seemingly. It's not like she had to have this, but it was a nice to have. And it's wonderful that she found this person in her life. So it really resonated with me just because it rid of all the fears that I had about the future unknowns, because again, it goes back into our whole theme of everything we've talked about with the previous episodes too. You are in control of your life. So you have to mold it in a way that it feels good for you, that it's aligned with your values, and that you can move forward and say, I really lived a great life. Like looking back, if I stood on a mountain and looked back at my life the last 40 years, I feel really good about what I did. And that's all that really matters.
I got to ask you, because you did talk about this on our sounding board episode, that you were kind of like, a lot was coming up for you, like entering 40 of just like as a milestone year. And one of the thoughts was talking to May about like how to account for the future. Do you ever end up chatting with her or anything?
Not in depth. Well, the thing is, like, you just have to follow May on her social media.
You're like, no, I just follow her, and then I get my dose.
I just stalk her. But
Yui's like out of her window right now.
Hold on.
Yui's like, I know she has a boyfriend because I see her through the kitchen. I'm just kidding.
No, she didn't tell me herself. Creepy. It's like, I will never talk to those girls ever again.
I'm just kidding.
But if you just follow May on her social media, you see that the way she views life is just different. It's just like, it's not the way most social media, I guess, quote unquote, influencers would post. She's very raw, and she's like, she gives zero fucks about what you think, but she wants you to, she wants to tell you what she thinks and how she feels in the moment. She doesn't censor anything. She doesn't feel like she needs to like sugarcoat anything, which is really, it's really refreshing because she is a journalist, and journalists have a way of spinning the information that's put out there. But she just puts it all out there. She's very raw. So I really enjoy that about her. And it made me think, wow, in my 40s, my goal is to give less fucks and less filter and put it out there. Like, why shouldn't the world get the authentic UA? They should. The world deserves an authentic UA.
I love how we went full circle from trust in your timing to the can you have it all with Mei Li? Because I feel like, I mean, we went full circle in the season, but then also right now as our top picks. And I think we actually like recorded those not that far apart. And we're like, it's interesting because there's a lot of the similar themes that are coming up this whole season around like, you know, this fear of the future and what does it have, or like being held back by the past. And I think ultimately, like, we don't know what we're going to want in our 50s. We don't know, like, there's a lot of that fear going on. I've had it too. It's like, if I don't want children now, will I regret that in 20 years? And like, you just don't know is the reality. So it's like, you kind of just need to live life according to your values and what you want to do. Like, there's never a silver bullet that has all the answers, and like whatever life path you're on right this minute.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are our top, I don't even know. Like, I can't even count how many episodes.
I think we stuck with 6. We stuck with 6.
Pretty sure it was 7 because Julie snuck one in.
Hey, we had an overlap.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Those are our top 6-ish episodes that from last season that changed the way we view love and relationships. We love to hear from you which episodes really resonated with you or helped you do something differently, take different actions, have a different mindset. And that's the goal with Dateable, is that we are constantly trying to figure out ways to change our perspective. We are constantly evolving. So why shouldn't our mindset, right?
Yep.
So I really love that we can have this discussion, look back on our last season, but also get everyone revved up for season 12, which is coming up very soon with new revelations, new learnings, new experts, new stories, new everything that we are very ecstatic to bring to you.
And you can still submit your story. We still have some open spots for season 12. So dateablepodcast.com/story. You can use the form, fill it out. We'll see if it's a good fit, or if there's any, even if you don't want to be a guest and you're just like, this topic would be awesome, like feel free to shoot us an email at hello@dateablepodcast.com. And and also just in other news, like we're gearing up for the Most Dateable contest. This is going to be super fun. We have tickets that are available to the general public. It's dateablepodcast.com/events. You can get your tickets a la carte, or you can join the sounding board. And then basically, if you're in the event tiers, it will be included. And if you join the tier that's not in events, you'll get like a discount code that makes it a little cheaper too. So definitely join us for that Most Dateable contest. We're going to be revealing the contestants this week, right?
Yes, our top 6 contestants competing for the crown of Most Dateable 2021.
We got some amazing videos in. There were like so many to pick from. We had to like instill another judge panel because there were just way too many videos that were incredible. So
good.
Super excited about the 6 that we're going to end up picking.
We are so excited. And while you're online searching for all of that, you might as well just go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. Hey, you're already there. You're already online. Just do it. It's best.
Help us get to 500. We're almost at 500. My goal in life is to be at 1,000. That would be amazing.
Your goal in life? Wow.
Well, maybe not life. Maybe not life.
With Julie Kravchuk. Can you really have 1,000?
That's my numerology coming through.
My gosh. Relinquish that control, woman. Because we're going to get to 1 million reviews eventually.
Yep. There we go. We go.
But yes, your reviews are really helpful for us, not only for perception wise, it makes us look good, but it is helpful for us to get the right guess because it makes us look legit. favorable reviews also help us with rankings, helps us with sponsorships. It's just all around helpful for everything that podcasters do. And I'm not saying this just for us. For other podcasters, do the same. While you're giving us a 5-star review, hey, give Kat Harris a 5-star review from the Refined Collective.
Yep.
Go for it. Nikki Novo, her podcast too. So while you're on there, just go on a 5-star spree.
I think Christina Bradley from Trust Your Timing also launched a podcast recently.
There you go.
All the podcasts. May Lee has a podcast. We have so many of our.
So many. 5 stars. Just give it to them. Just boom, 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 boom. So we really appreciate that. And then we'll be back for one last bonus episode next week before we kick off season 12. Here we go.
Wow.
We're going to wrap this up.
Stay dateable.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. Want to continue the conversation? First, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the handle @DateablePodcast. Tag us in any post with the hashtag StayDateable, and trust us, we look at all those posts. Then head over to our website, dateablepodcast.com. There you'll find all the episodes as well as articles, videos, and our coaching service with vetted industry experts. You can also find our premium Why series, where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We're also downloadable for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Stitcher Radio, and other podcast platforms. Your feedback is valuable to us, so don't forget to leave us a review. And most importantly, remember to stay dateable.